Please adhere to YouTube's selected guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any products, actions, or behaviors shown in this video. All videos are produced in a safe, professional, and controlled environment. Please do not attempt to replicate any actions performed during the video. All actions are performed by professionals.
All right, so today I'm going to be drinking Carhartt-branded alcohol for the first time. Kind of. More on that in just a minute. What I have with me today is the Blake's Hard Cider Co. x Carhartt American Apple Imperial Hard Cider, which was produced with only American-grown apples, has an ABV of 8%, and which cost me $11.99 at my local grocery store for a 6-pack of 355 milliliter cans, making this not expensive but not cheap either for a hard cider. I've certainly seen more expensive varieties, I will acknowledge. But what do I mean by kind of? After all, at the beginning of this video, I said that this was a Carhartt-branded alcohol. Kind of. What do I mean by that? Well, this collaboration between Blake's Hard Cider Company and Carhartt is not your standard product collaboration with production input from both sides, and it is instead marketed as a co-branded limited time rebrand of Blake's normal American Apple Imperial Cider, with the intent being for the co-branding to help promote the Farm Link Project, a charity that aims to tackle food insecurity and help cut food waste across the globe. And of course, this co-branding seems to be working, as I'm talking about the charity that they wish to promote right now. But yes, what I have with me today is not a Carhartt-made alcoholic beverage. It is instead a pre-existing hard cider that Carhartt's logo just so happens to be on. But due to the fact that Carhartt's logo is indeed on the side of this 6-pack, I am counting it as a Carhartt-branded alcoholic beverage. I do realize there's a decent argument to say otherwise, but Carhartt's branding is on the side, and so it is quite literally a Carhartt-branded alcoholic beverage, if you ask me. But will I be able to hold this hard cider to the same quality as Carhartt clothing? That is the question in my mind right now. Will this hard cider be just as high quality as a Carhartt jacket? I don't know, but I hope so, because I want a good drink today, and I'm looking forward to finding out. I do suppose, without further ado, I should probably go ahead and quickly cover the packaging that the 6-pack came in. Then after that, I should probably go ahead and get this box all opened up, get one of the cans inside all out, and go ahead and take a look at what the cans actually look like, what they feel like, and just what the general design on them is. And then after that, I'm thinking I should probably crack one open, smell the Carhartt-branded cider for the very first time, and then after that, I should probably go ahead and take a sip and find out just how this stuff really is, what it's like, and what I think of it, and let y'all know as well. But first off, as said, we've got to go over the general look of the box that the 6-pack came in. And let's go ahead and start with the top of it, I do think. We can see, and it's a bit hard to hold, but we can see we get a dark blue background going around right there. We get a little bit of red up top, a little bit of red on the bottom down there, and then we can see the design of the cans that are supposedly inside this pack just right here as well. This blue background, this dark blue background, has a lot of text just going all the way around it and whatnot. Just says, oh man, what does it say? It just says American Apple, Imperial Hard Cider, American Apple. And so it's just like two different designs saying American Apple right there, and that just repeats over and over and over again. On the very top, it just says a true American craft in a sort of off-white. And then on the bottom, it just says a partnership benefiting communities in need, just right there in that same off-white. And we could see a little bit of a white line right there, and on the top as well. And of course, in the center, we can see the supposed can design itself, with a little bit of red up top, a sort of off-white in the center right there, a little bit of red on the bottom making up what looks like a field and stuff like that. We can see a little bit of a farmhouse right there, some like wind generators as well, a little bit of a blue hill. We can see a bunch of information. Just says made in the USA, 8% ABV. Just says gluten-free right there. These are gluten-free hard ciders. That is something worth mentioning. Just says Blake's Hard Cider Company, ex Carhartt right there, American Apple Imperial Hard Cider. Of course, we can see the 2 bits where you stick your fingers into the box just right here, so you can lift it and carry it very easily. That's something I do much appreciate. And we can see a little bit of a yellow tree line matching up pretty well with the Carhartt logo right there as well. And just along with that, it just says limited edition on the very top. And yeah, that's really all that's going on with the packaging that we can see printed onto the side of this 6-pack box right here. And that's pretty much all there is to this side of the 6-pack of the Carhartt branded alcohol that I have with me today. Let's go ahead and move on to this side right here. And we can see we get that of a sort of semi-off-white background, I'd have to say. We can see that sort of farmhouse field design, once again, some red trees, a little bit of a yellow tree line, some wind generator thingamajigs, a little bit of a field right there, red up top, red on the bottom right there, just 2 red banners on the top and the bottom. And in the center, we can see it just says Blake's Hard Cider Company in this text right here, and then X Carhartt right there, American Apple Imperial Hard Cider, just says gluten-free, 8% alcohol by volume, and 6 355 milliliter cans right there. And on the top just says Farmers Fighting Hunger, limited time release, benefiting the Farm Link Project. So they are very vocal about their want to benefit the Farm Link Project, which is the charity I mentioned previously. And then we can see on the bottom, it just says connecting farmers to communities right there. And yeah, that's really all that's going on this side. Moving on to the other side, we can see it's the exact same design. And moving on to this side, we can see we get, once again, more of a blue background than not. Red up the top, red on the bottom as well. We can definitely tell that this red is meant to be somewhat of a border, I would have to say, as it stretches around the packaging pretty well. That's something I appreciate seeing, but it's not a super clean transition between like this and this right here, but this is a nice continuity, I will acknowledge. But oh man, this is getting really heavy. Let me just put it down for a second. My arm holding a 6-pack of 355 milliliter cans up for any length of time, like trying to hold it up and whatnot. Definitely not hurting my arm per se, it's just wearing my arm out. But let's go ahead and get back to it. We can see, as said, there's the red up top and the red on the bottom right there. Just says up top, benefiting the Farm Link Project, connecting farmers to communities. We get that can design right here once again, just says Blake's Hard Cider Company. Under that, it just says Blake's and Carhartt working together or working with farmers to fight hunger. And then under that, it just says scan me right there. There's a little bit of a QR code that goes to a collaboration merch store, I do think. Just says shop the Blake's and Carhartt storefront for workwear supporting the Farm Link Project, a nonprofit connecting farmers to communities facing food insecurity. And so yeah, if you want to get like Blake's Hard Cider X Carhartt, Carhartt clothing, then you can support that cause and get that from this QR code, I do suppose. Moving on to the other side, we can see it's the exact same thing we just saw. And moving on to the bottom, it is a little bit more informational than not. I would say we get the not the QR code, we get the barcode right there. And right here, it just says Blake's Hard Cider Company. Under that, it just says 2 Michigan-founded companies working together to fight hunger. BHC, Blake's Hard Cider, has partnered with Carhartt to support the Farm Link Project, rooted in shared values of hardworking farming and community. This partnership through the American Apple Hard Cider raises awareness and funds for the Farm Link Project. TFP connects surplus farm produce to food banks. With over 200 million meals delivered, FarmLink also empowers let me try that again. Should have brought my glasses out with me today. I just lost where I was. With over 200 million meals delivered, FarmLink also empowers young change makers to tackle hunger and sustainability. Together, Blake's and Carhartt aim to amplify this mission and make a lasting impact. We invite you to enjoy American Apple mindfully. So, of course, they're not trying to encourage over-drinking or anything like that. And they've just done a good job of really selling what the FarmLink project is. And it's something that I do like the idea of. I don't know anything about the charity, I will acknowledge, but I do like the idea of the charity. Tackling food waste and food insecurity, I think that's a positive thing. And that's definitely something that I'm glad they're putting out there as a charity that you can support. And I'm glad that I am supporting that charity by purchase. Get more words all jumped up. I'm glad that my purchase has gone towards a good cause. Like, even if it's just a portion of my purchase, I'm glad some of it's gone towards a good cause. And that's something I certainly cannot complain about. Food insecurity, everything like that kind of thing, it's never a good thing. And food waste is something that absolutely needs to be tackled. So, you know, I got no complaints on my behalf, frankly put. Under the barcode just says American Apple Imperial Hard Cider, just right there. Then under that just says gluten-free, 6 355 milliliter cans, 8% alcohol by volume, canned by Blake's Hard Cider Co. Armada, Michigan, 48005. And then it also says Wilcott, New York, and Redmond, Oregon. Maybe they bottle or can in multiple different areas. I'm not exactly sure. They have the tax class. Ingredients: hard cider, sugar, malic acid. Contains sulfites, contains alcohol. Government warning. According to the Surgeon General, women should not drink alcoholic beverages during pregnancy because of the risk of birth defects. And 2, consumption of alcoholic beverages impairs your ability to drive a car or operate machinery and may cause health problems. Under that just says real fruit from real farmers. Learn more about our farm fruit. Yep, just doing a little bit of advertising. And once again, we get the shop link right here for their collaboration merch. And then under that, all of that, it just says Blake's Hard Cider X Carhartt right there as well. And yeah, that's all there was to the packaging for the box holding the 6-pack itself. Overall, they've definitely got some decent marketing going on. Overall, the packaging definitely a little bit more distinct and not. It caught my attention in the store, and I looked at it and I went, wait, that has Carhartt on the side. I got to pick that up, and so I did. So I got to admit, the co-branding, the collaboration in that way, it is working. I picked up this cider pretty much only because Carhartt was on the side of it, I will acknowledge. They're doing a good job advertising the charity that they want to support and everything like that kind of thing. And overall, just decent marketing as a whole kind of thing. I'm not fully suckered in, I'll acknowledge. I'm not fully sucked into the marketing personally. I do realize it is very much marketing to sell alcoholic beverages. However, it is good marketing. From a marketing standpoint, it is some pretty good stuff. And I do acknowledge that. And you know, I don't mind it by any means. I don't mind it by any means. Good marketing going on with this hard cider right here. Without further ado, let's get some marketing going on my side as well, because I need to grab myself a thumbnail for this video. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Just trying to figure out what the best way to hold it is. Whew, my arms are tired. Hopefully one of those will do. We will find out. We will find out. Grab one like this as well. Maybe grab one like this as well. No complaints on my behalf. Well, I do think, without further ado, it is time to go ahead and crack open the 6-pack. And it is time to go ahead and take a look very quickly at the look of the cans on the inside. Will they actually look like these cans right here? Will they actually look like this can that's printed onto the 6-pack? They'd better. Because otherwise I got clickbaited. I totally wouldn't be surprised if it's a completely different design. But I really hope it isn't. Because I want that Carhartt branding on the can itself. Because if it's not on the can itself, well, it's not truly Carhartt-branded alcohol then, kind of thing. If it's just on the outside of the 6-pack, then that's going to be pretty disappointing, frankly put. So I really do hope there's Carhartt branding on the cans themselves. Let's find out, though. Let's go ahead and crack this open. And just like that. And let's go ahead. There we go, just like that. All right. What are we looking at for the cans? Let's see. That's the design. There's no Carhartt branding. That's actually, like, really disappointing, and, like, I don't appreciate that, like, really. That's some points off. Genuinely, that is points off right there. That is genuinely points off right there. That is actually extremely disappointing that this can does not look like the can on the outside of the packaging. I paid for cans of Carhartt branded alcohol, and what do we have here? Not a can of Carhartt branded alcohol. I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate that. This is going to have to be better than previously it was going to have to be for me to feel like I spend my money on something worthwhile. Not that the price of this hard cider was horrible by any means. It certainly wasn't the most expensive hard cider I've ever bought. But still, come on. This ain't the same design, guys. This is not the same design. This is not the same design. Come on. This is just sad. Really? This is not the same design. If you're gonna put a design on the packaging, you gotta have the cans be the same design, and this is not the same design. I paid for Carhartt branded alcohol, and I want Carhartt branded alcohol. I don't just want Carhartt branding on my 6-pack box. I want my Carhartt branding on my can itself. How are people supposed to know that I'm drinking Carhartt branded alcohol on the work site if there's no Carhartt branding on my alcohol? I will acknowledge, and I hate to say this, and this is something I do not say often, some complaints on my behalf. I genuinely really do not appreciate the difference in product design compared to what they have printed on there. That is actually not cool. I very strongly dislike that, and I really dislike that. I really do not appreciate that. That is one of my, like, pet peeves. If the packaging looks a certain way on the mega pack, it should look the same way inside the mega pack. Like, if you get a bunch of, like, tiny bags of pretzels in a mega pack, I want my tiny bags of pretzels to look like they do on the mega pack. Same thing when it comes to alcohol. If I buy a 6-pack of alcohol, and it has the can design on the 6-pack, then I, frankly put, want the can to look like that. Now, simple solution would have been to just not put the can design on the 6-pack packaging, on the box packaging. But I'd still have complaints on my behalf because this still doesn't have the Carhartt branding on it, like promised. As said, how are people supposed to know that I'm drinking Carhartt branded alcohol while wearing a Carhartt beanie and wearing a Carhartt jacket on the work site when we're doing work if this doesn't have Carhartt branding on it? Genuinely, actually, I'm actually disappointed. I'm actually severely disappointed. Blake's Hard Cider Co. I'm disappointed. Y'all need to fix this. I am actually disappointed. That is actually genuinely one of my pet peeves. Now, I realize from a marketing standpoint, it makes sense to keep the Carhartt packaging on the 6-pack, but to switch to the normal cans. Maybe it's cheaper to make the normal cans than to make that limited design can and everything like that kind of thing. But, if you're done with the limited release, go back to the normal cans. Don't go back to the... This is genuinely one of my pet peeves. Genuinely one of my pet peeves. Oh, man. Yeah. If something looks like it does on the packaging, it should look that way on the inside of the packaging. It can be bigger. It could be bigger. I don't expect my giant pretzel on the side of my pretzel box to actually be that size kind of thing, but it had better have some salt on it like the image shows. Let me put it that way. Come on. Blake's Hard Cider Co. You had the marketing going so well. I was like, yep, they're supporting charity. I'm supporting a charity, like, secondhand because of my purchase and because I'm making this video. And then they had to go and ruin it with this. This is not bad looking packaging. It's not really anything crazy either. But come on. Come on. Some complaints on my behalf. If I buy a Carhartt collaboration item, it had better say it's got Carhartt on it. That's what I'm saying. All right, yeah, enough of that, though. I've complained enough. Genuinely, some complaints on my behalf, though. It's actually one of my pet peeves. If it says it's going to look a certain way, it had better look a certain way. Yeah. I really don't appreciate the lack of Carhartt branding on this can, but let's go ahead and go over the look of the can. We can see the design of this. It's a bit different than what we saw on the box. It's not like insanely different, but it is a bit different without a doubt. Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different without a doubt. Not the exact same design by any means. We can see we get red up top, red on the bottom, sort of an off-white beige in the center right there in gold. It just says Blake's Hard Cider Company right there. Yeah, Blake's Hard Cider Company that doesn't put Carhartt branded cans in the box that says they're going to be Carhartt branded. That's what I'm going to call Blake's Hard Cider Company from now on. No offense, Blake's Hard Cider Company, but I am disappointed. Under that, just in red, says American, and then in blue, it says Apple right there. So American Apple Imperial Hard Cider, says that in red. And then under that, we get the red sort of ribbon going around the bottom. To some degree, I would say. In the center of this, with a background of that off-white, it just says 8% alcohol by volume. Above that, just says 355 milliliters. Either side, made in the USA, and gluten-free. And above everything, just says Imperial Fruit Series right there. Some little lines to either side, and yep, that's really all that's going on with the front of this can. Would look better with Carhartt branding, in my opinion, and overall the can that they had on the 6-pack box looked better than this one if you ask me, but it's an okay design, and that's about all it is if you ask me. Let's go ahead, go over to this side, just says please recycle. We get some marketing stuff. American to its core. Yeah, American to its core without Carhartt packaging and without Carhartt branding. I tried to clear my throat, and then I was like, wow, that was way too aggressive. Yeah, American to its core without Carhartt branding. Under that, they've got a farm design. That's that same farm design that we saw, like, on the can right here at the bottom, but it's in a different place on the can. And then under that just says cider with a story, blakeshardcider.com. Don't care. Not interested. They had me going with the Carhartt branding, and now that I've been lied to, I don't want to check anything out. Under that, we've got the barcode right there. And then on this side, just says Imperial Fruit Series up top. And then under that, we've got a bunch of marketing trash. Just says, made by farmers, shared with neighbors, beginning with a unique blend of apple varietals. American apple was crafted to represent our farming heritage. This Imperial hard cider offers balanced sweetness and contains no artificial flavors, colors, or sweeteners, which is actually something that I do appreciate. The result of using real fruit is a pure, uncompromised taste and one that pays homage to our roots. Yeah, there's a lot of marketing BS there, frankly put, to put it in a not nice way. I'd be a lot nicer about it. I'd call it a marketing segmentation spiel, which is what that is, if I wasn't so ticked off that this can doesn't have Carhartt packaging, Carhartt branding on it. I am genuinely I need some alcohol, because this has actually annoyed me so much. I'm not going to say I'm like majorly annoyed. I am bumping it up like a bit for the video. I will acknowledge I am kind of bumping it up a bit for entertainment purposes. But like reality wise, like genuinely, I am mildly like, come on guys, really? Really? You have the balls to still put Carhartt on the 6-pack, but to not have it on the can. Genuinely, I'm just disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. So yeah, we get that market segmentation spiel right there. So it says balanced sweetness and no artificial colors or sweeteners, although they don't say how many sweeteners they put in this, which is something I'd appreciate. There's some hard ciders today that actually put how much sugar they add in onto the can. They aren't doing that here. We'll find out. We'll find out. Just says... there's a QR code right there. And then under that just says, for over 75 years, Blake Farms has taken pride in being true stewards of cider, offering an adventurous exploration of fruit and fermentation. We strive to enhance the American craft experience. All right. There's some pretty good American craft ciders out there. If this one ain't it, I'm going to have to say so. Because they're saying that they're really good. Is this really, 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 really good? Well, we're going to have to find out. We're going to have to find out. I will be extra critical of this today. Not that I'm not critical of the alcohol that I drink normally. I am. But I will make sure to be critical of this if I need to be. If I don't need to be, then I won't be. But it says made in the USA, Blake's Hard Cider Company, American Apple right there in the center, and then gluten-free right there. That's what it says. On this side, we get government warnings and stuff. Just says government warning. Same thing as we read off before. Canned by Blake's Hard Cider Co., Armada, Michigan, Wilcott, New York. So they have multiple locations saying that it's a craft cidery. Don't they market themselves as a craft cidery? I don't know. They actually market themselves as that? I'm not sure. Kind of what they're going for with the packaging and everything like that. But if you have multiple locations, I don't know if I can really count that as being craft, frankly put. It just says contains sulfites, has the tax, 355 milliliters, Imperial hard cider, and just says please enjoy responsibly, and then we can see this can was made by a ball right there. Does it actually call themselves a craft cidery? I'm not sure. I don't think it actually does. Hard Cider Co. It doesn't actually call themselves a craft cidery anywhere, but they're definitely trying to go for that look with like the packaging and stuff like that kind of thing, aren't they? I feel like they really are. Like, I don't know. I just had the whole sort of craft cider in mind when I was looking at this packaging. So they're really going for the whole craft cider look, when in fact it sounds like they have multiple locations. So I'm not really going to call this a craft cider by any means. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this can all opened up, though, and let's go and find out just what this stuff smells like. Although the top of the can is kind of very hard for me to grab with my fingers, so I'm going to use my knife to pop it instead. Just like that. And, excuse me, I feel like I need to wipe my nose, so I'm going to do that real quick. Pretty satisfying crack open. Let's see what it smells like. Smells overall, this is an Imperial hard cider. So I'm expecting it to be a little bit more dry than not, but not like crazy dry by any means. I'm expecting it to be like mainly dry, sour, slightly sweet. And what I'm getting is a dry, fruity scent with a little bit of sourness and sweetness in there kind of thing. Very much that of kind of like when you when you cut into like a freshly grown or freshly, when you cut into a fresh Granny Smith apple is what I was trying to say. And you just smell kind of the sourness from it. It's kind of what you're getting from the sourness with this. So yeah, I'd have to say it's that of a sort of like dry, citrus, sour, sweet sort of apple scent. Overall, smells pretty good in my personal opinion. Doesn't smell bad by any means, and smells like it's going to be to my personal preference, but will it actually be to my personal preference or not? That I do not know. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get this cider right here drank, and let's go ahead and take a sip of the fake Carhartt-branded cider for the first time. Yeah, I'm calling this fake Carhartt-branded because the can doesn't have the branding on it. It's just the 6-pack. So this isn't real Carhartt-branded cider right here. But I bought it, so I'm drinking it, so let's go ahead and drink it. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying? Right off the bat. Not too bad, though. I'd say this is probably more like a semi-dry. It's definitely got a little bit of dryness in there, a little bit of sourness in there. But a little bit of sweetness in there as well. And initial impressions, not too bad. 8% of alcohol by volume. Definitely, I would have to say it just kind of feels like there's a little bit more something to it than like lower ABV ciders, like let's say Strongbow or Stella Artois or something like that kind of thing. Just feels like it kind of packs a little bit more of a punch when you're taking a sip. It's slightly less easy to sip on, but this stuff is still extremely smooth. It's still extremely easy to sip on. It might be slightly less easy to sip on than Strongbow or Stella Artois, as said, but this stuff is still so easy to sip on. And right off the bat, frankly put, it's not too bad. Frankly put, it's not too bad at all. 8%, that is a strength that I like quite a bit. And the flavor from this cider, while it's nothing crazy, unique, or super insanely interesting or in-depth, just right off the bat, the taste itself seems to be pretty decent quality and not bad at all. And just something that's nice to sip on while you're either eating food or sitting outside in a park or sitting outside on your back porch like I'm doing today. Not too bad. Not too bad. I mean, like, this is not a bad quality beverage by any means. Not that I really expected it to be before purchasing the 6-pack. I did look it up and check just to make sure Blake's Hard Cider Co. was actually worth the $11.99 that I wanted to spend. And I looked it up, found a review or two, and the reviews said that it was decent quality. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll pick it up. And so I went into this expecting nothing bad by any means. But I didn't know how the quality was actually going to be because I hadn't tried it before. But yeah, I mean, like, it's not too bad. It's nothing crazy. But it's definitely better than some ciders I've had before. Is this better than Angry Orchard? I'd have to say it is, for example. I'd actually say I prefer this over Strongbow. I actually do. Strongbow for me is just a little bit too overly sweet. This, honestly, while it's not as good as my favorite ever hard cider, which is the Citizen Cider Unified Press, I'd have to say is probably my favorite cider right now. It does get pretty close. It does get pretty close to that cider. The mixing, and this is definitely a semi-dry in my opinion. I'm not going to call it a true dry. This is definitely a semi-dry if you ask me. And it definitely hits that same sort of semi-dry note, sweet yet sour mixture that I appreciate from a good semi-dry like the Citizen Cider Unified Press. And so while that is definitely still my favorite cider without a doubt, with Stella Artois being number 2, this could become a number 3 if I enjoy it. And so far I'm enjoying it, but I can't say anything for sure until the very bottom of the can, of course. But yeah, flavor is nice. Solid flavor. Nothing too crazy going on by any means, but just a solid flavor. It's distinct. It's not too light. The flavor itself is distinct enough where it kind of keeps you coming back for more. You don't get bored of the flavor, even though it's not like a crazy in-depth flavor by any means. The flavor is distinct enough to keep you coming back for more. And while it doesn't have like an insane amount of depth to it, it's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, like, genuinely, if I had bought this pack of Blake's Hard Cider, American Apple Imperial Hard Cider, and there was no Carhartt branding on it, and I was making a video just like I was making right now, but not on Carhartt-branded cider, quote-unquote, instead on just the Blake's Hard Cider, just seeing how it was, just doing a review of it, genuinely, I would have no complaints on my behalf. I really, truly would have no complaints on my behalf. This is actually not a bad cider at all. It's not the best cider I've ever had. I've had better. But it's not bad at all. It's pretty solid in my personal opinion. And flavor-wise and sweetness-wise and taste-wise, it is too my personal preferences. But I'm not making a review of it just on its own as a standalone drink. I'm making a review of it as a Carhartt-branded beverage. Does this drink right here live up to the Carhartt quality in my opinion? Yes. But the cans themselves don't have Carhartt branding. Maybe they did at some point in time. Maybe they did when this was initially released. Thing is, I'd totally buy this again, just because I am not minding this cider right now. It's something I think I could see myself buying again. But it's annoying to have bought this cider expecting it to have Carhartt branding on the can itself, and it doesn't. It is just one of my pet peeves that if something looks a certain way on the outside of the packaging, when you get the packaging opened up, it should look the same. It should look the same. It's kind of my personal opinion. It's one of my pet peeves. I don't like having complaints on my behalf. It's something I would prefer never to have. I would prefer to never have any complaints on my behalf ever. But without any complaints on your behalf ever, wouldn't that kind of be a complaint on your behalf? You gotta have complaints on your behalf sometime, so you remember what it's like to have complaints on your behalf. And I haven't had any complaints on my behalf in a fat minute. And so as such today, I am distinctly remembering what it's like to have complaints on my behalf. Yeah. But genuinely, though, I mean, like, just the cider on its own, it's pretty solid stuff. Like, the cider itself is not bad. I'm really not minding it. And it is definitely getting me a buzz. Like, that 8% is hitting. I like my strong alcoholic beverages. I like being able to just drink one can and have a buzz. I like that. Not that I don't get a buzz from, like, one 4.5% glass bottle of Strongbow or Stella Artosis. I do get a buzz. But 8%, I get a heavier buzz. This is solid. This is a solid hard cider. Not the best I've ever had, but solid. But really, the biggest disappointment to this cider is just the fact that it's supposed to have Carhartt branding on it. And it doesn't. It doesn't. And for me, that's something I don't appreciate. I truly do not appreciate that. Like, genuinely, I do not appreciate the fact that this is supposed to have Carhartt branding on it, and then it doesn't. As said, how am I supposed to day drink at the work site with Carhartt branded alcohol while wearing Carhartt to flex on all the people not wearing Carhartt if this don't have Carhartt branding on it? Come on. Come on. It is what it is. It is what it is, I do suppose. What's the actual flavor of the cider yet like, though? Oh, excuse me, I'm orange all jumbled up. I'm already getting buzzed. I'm going to give myself a minute. I'm just going to kind of sit back and relax for a second and have some of this. So overall, the flavor, in my opinion, is that of a decently intense. I've had some cider that is like so mild, it's crazy. I've also had some cider that is like so overwhelming, it's crazy. This is a good medium. It's an intense enough flavor to keep you interested, to keep you coming back for more, to keep you wanting more. It's a good quality cider. But the flavor itself is nothing crazy. It's nothing crazy unique, nothing crazy interesting. This tastes a lot like other ciders I've had in the past, frankly put. But it is just a good all-round cider. Nothing crazy, but it's a good all-round cider, good quality, in my opinion. Better than Strongbow, as said. Better than Angry Orchard, as said. And the flavor itself overall, as described previously, is that of a semi-dry, sour, sweet flavor, with, in specific, that of a, I would say, I'm trying to think of, like, specific flavor descriptors right now, and I'm gonna need another sip after I have another sip of this. And the carbonation in it, that's one other thing I haven't mentioned. The carbonation in it, it's light. There's not a ton of carbonation, but the carbonation that is there is bigger than not bubbles. And that's something I appreciate. And those bigger than not bubbles, while the mouthfeel itself would be syrupy without the carbonation, those bubbles do a good job of mixing it up. And so overall, well, I'm not going to say syrupy. The mouthfeel itself would be a bit sticky, I guess is really the right way of putting it. I don't think syrupy is the right way of describing the mouthfeel without the carbonation. But it would be a bit of a sticky mouthfeel without the carbonation. But, you know, I'm just going to give myself a minute, honestly. I'm going to give myself a minute. I'm kind of just trying to think this through as I'm talking. And I don't feel like I'm saying what I want to say in the way I want to say it. So I'm going to finish this off. I'd much rather take my time and say what I want to say, how I want to say it, and say what I want to say accurately with no regrets than try to say what I want to say as quickly as possible and miss out on things that I wanted to say because I forgot to say them. Excuse me. What I can say, though, is that I will be retitling this video. The title of this video was originally just going to be drinking a Carhartt-branded alcohol for the first time. Now I'm going to have to retitle it to something else. I'm trying to think what would be a good title. Maybe drinking a Clickbait Carhartt-branded alcohol for the first time. Ooh, I feel like that's pretty good. I might do that. That's actually a good title. That's a fire title. Clickbait Carhartt-branded alcohol. I might go with that low-key. I might go with that. That's actually a solid title. And it's an accurate descriptor. This is literally a clickbait Carhartt-branded alcohol. It says it's Carhartt on the outside, and it ain't Carhartt on the inside. I guess that's just kind of a metaphor for human beings, isn't it? If you wear Carhartt, you're Carhartt on the outside, but you might not be Carhartt on the inside. It's kind of just a metaphor for human beings, honestly. I didn't expect this hard cider to be philosophical, but maybe that was their intention all along. That's a joke. I don't think it was, actually. I don't think that was their intention. So overall, in my opinion, the mouthfeel is that of a, I would say, mildly sticky sweet, lightly carbonated, but the carbonation has big bubbles. Sort of just cider. It doesn't go down quite like water. It doesn't have a water-like mouthfeel to it, for sure. There's definitely that slight stickiness to it kind of thing. There's definitely a little bit of sweetness in there, without a doubt kind of thing. But yeah, instead of a slightly sticky, lightly carbonated, but the carbonated is big bubbles, sort of mouthfeel. Not overly carbonated by any means. And the carbonation, in my opinion, is about right. I quite like the carbonation. And the flavor overall is that of a mildly citrus sour, citrusy sweet apple flavor. But I feel like there's some undertones in there. I feel like there's a slight undertone of a sort of like green apple. I feel like there's a slight undertone of like the slightest bit of honey and a little bit of dryness. So yeah, overall, in my opinion, the Blake's Hard Cider Company American Apple Hard Cider made in co-branding with Carhartt, although this can wasn't. It was just the packaging that was. I'm gonna keep saying that. This cider, flavor of, yeah, mildly citrusy sour, sort of green apple with a little bit of a sweet, honey-like, citrusy flavor going on. A little bit of honey crisp in there maybe, kind of thing. And I did say dryness. And there's like the slightest bit in there maybe, but it's not prominent. It's not prominent. Do I want another one to really be able to say for sure? Do I want another clickbait Carhartt cider to be able to say for sure? I kind of do. I've got a buzz, but I kind of want another. It's the can opener is down too much. Is there really any dryness in there? Honestly, I'm going to have to say there's not. Honestly, yeah, I'm going to have to say there's not. After having taken a full sip again, I'm going to have to say there's not any dryness in there. I'm going to have to say, yeah, no, there's really no dryness in there. So far, I've tried 2 ciders that are marketed as being Imperial ciders. I still don't really know what that means, honestly. The first one I tried was very watery. But while there was some dryness to it, I wouldn't describe it as being like fully dry. This is definitely, I would have to say, more of a wet cider. I was thinking there might be a little bit of dryness in there with the first couple sips, with the first drink I had. But I think it was just the Imperial name kind of tricking me into thinking there might have been some, because with the first Imperial cider I had, there was a little bit of dryness. But I would say this is definitely more of a semi-wet cider rather than being that of a true dry cider. It's a semi-dry. There's really, like, maybe a little bit of dryness in there with, like, the sourness kind of thing, but when I taste it and have the mouthfeel kind of going through, I don't think dry. I think that this is slightly sticky, wet, mouthfeel with really no dryness in there kind of thing. So I would say this is a semi-dry, a semi-wet cider. I would actually say, like, semi-dry is really the wrong way of putting it. It's more like a semi-wet. It's not like a full-on true wet cider. Certainly not as wet as your mom last night when I was hanging out with her. Sorry I had to do it to him. I apologize. Now I'm going to have to make an apology video, aren't I? But I had to make that joke. The buzz is hitting. But yeah, I would say semi-wet. This is less of a semi-dry and more of a semi-wet. The flavor itself is comparable to, like, let's say the Citizen Cider Unified Press, which is my favorite hard cider right now. But that cider is more of a semi-dry and less of a semi-wet. This is more of a semi-wet. It's a little bit sweeter in my opinion. And due to that additional sweetness that I'm noticing, this is definitely more of a semi-wet rather than a semi-dry. It's not a full-on wet cider, but it is a semi-wet cider, if you ask me. Yeah. Definitely 8% is getting me good though. I'm feeling fantastic right now. I'm quite buzzed right now. In fact, I am very buzzed right now at 8%. Yeah, be hitting for sure. Yeah, overall, the Blake's Hard Cider Company, I mean, like, I could tell from the first couple sips, it's not a bad cider. This is a pretty good cider. It's not the best cider I've ever had, but it's not bad. It's not bad, that's for sure. It's a pretty solid quality, just decent drinking cider, frankly put. It's just pretty solid to have on a day like today, and it's just a pretty solid cider to have in general. And it is a cider that, honestly, I would purchase again in the future. Really, my biggest beef with the cider, excuse me, that I have with me today is that it says it's Carhartt-Branded when the can itself is not. Carhartt on the outside, not Carhartt on the inside. Yeah. Not too bad of a cider, though. Not too bad of a cider, though. Pretty solid. To say what the flavor is once and for all, I would describe the flavor as being that, well, let's cover the mouthfeel first. The mouthfeel is that of a semi-wet, sweet, slightly sticky, but carbonated mouthfeel, with the carbonation adding a little bit of sourness, a little bit of a spike to it, I would say. And while the carbonation itself is not crazy heavy by any means, it is there, and the carbonation that is there is not super small bubbles. It's there, it's kind of coming through, giving you a little bit of a spike kind of thing, and that's very much how the mouthfeel is. When it comes to the flavor itself, the flavor itself is that of a semi-wet, slightly sour, sort of Granny Smith apple, citrusy, appley flavor, And then under that, there is a slightly sweet, citrusy apple, sort of honey-like flavor, I would say. And is there anything else going on? A little bit of powdered sugar, maybe. A little bit of powdered sugar, maybe. Yeah. Semi-wet, citrusy, sour, Granny Smith apple type of flavor. Under that, a little bit of semi-sweet, citrusy sweet, honey, powdered sugar, sort of apple flavor. Overall, it's an apple cider, that's for sure. It's definitely an apple cider. But yeah, semi-wet, slightly sour, Granny Smith apple type of flavor. Up top, under that, there's like, yeah, slightly sweet, sort of, I would say, yeah, slightly sweet, slightly honey, powdered sugar, more like Fiji apple or Honeycrisp apple sort of flavor. And that's very much what the flavor is, in my opinion. It's very much what the flavor is like. I'm sure there's more depth to it to some people, but that overall, in my opinion, is what the flavor of the Blake's Hard Cider Co. ex Carhartt American Apple Imperial Hard Cider is actually like. That's what the flavor of the cider I drank today, the Clickbait Carhartt Hard Cider, that's what the flavor is like. And overall, in my opinion, it is a solid cider. Is this a cider that I would drink again in the future? Am I going to mind drinking the rest of the 6-pack that I have, the additional 4 cans that I have? I am going to enjoy drinking the rest of the cider that I have. I am going to enjoy drinking the rest because the Blake's American Apple Imperial Hard Cider is a solid cider. Is it the best cider I've ever had? No, but it is solid. It is a quality cider that is better than Strongbow. It's better than Angry Orchard, in my opinion. I don't hold Angry Orchard in a particularly high regard, but it's also been years since I last had it, so I have to retry it eventually. But, yeah, in my opinion, better than Strongbow, better than Angry Orchard, and overall just a very solid quality. A very solid quality as a whole. Hard cider, without a doubt. A very solid quality alcoholic beverage, and one that I don't mind at all. I definitely do not mind the Blake's Hard Cider American Apple Imperial Hard Cider. I don't mind it. Is it the best I've ever had? No. But I don't mind it. It's a quality beverage, and I certainly don't feel like I wasted my money. I don't feel like I wasted the $11.99 that I spent. I've got some alcohol that I enjoy for that price. And alcohol that, since it's 8%, definitely gets me a buzz as well, because I am feeling just a little bit buzzed right now. When I say a little bit buzzed, I mean I'm feeling very decently buzzed, I will acknowledge. I'm feeling pretty good right now. So yeah, overall, would I say that this cider was worth the price? I would. I would say that it was worth the price. But it would be more worth the price if the cans themselves had the Carhartt logo on them. Be more worth the price if it did. But I wouldn't have ever bought this if it didn't have the Carhartt logo on it, honestly. So I see what they're doing with the marketing. But doesn't mean I appreciate it. I see what they're doing. Doesn't mean I have to like it. And I don't like it because if you're gonna have the design of the can on the outside have the Carhartt logo, you gotta have the cans on the inside have the Carhartt logo too. Just from a consumer's point of view, that's what I want. Maybe there's consumers that don't care. I care. I'm still mildly annoyed that there's no Carhartt branding on the outside of the can. I am actually genuinely disappointed. How are people on the job site supposed to know that I'm day drinking Carhartt branded alcohol if there ain't no Carhartt branding on it? That's what I'm saying. Overall, I would have given this alcoholic beverage an 8 out of 10. I would have given it an 8 out of 10, which I think is a worthwhile rating. I think it's a deserved rating for what this is. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to give it an 8 out of 10. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Because, and only because, the can itself has no Carhartt branding. No Carhartt branding on the can equals a point off. I was tempted to give it a 6 out of 10. I was very tempted. I'm still tempted to actually give it a 6 out of 10. I'm not going to say was. I still am tempted. But I'm trying to resist. Because this cider does not deserve. This cider does not deserve a 6 out of 10. It is better than a 6 out of 10. No question. Like for me, a 6 out of 10 is Angry Orchard. Or like Strongbow kind of thing. Like Strongbow is like a 6.5 to almost 7 out of 10. The Blake's Hard Cider American Apple Imperial Hard Cider, it's solid. It deserves an 8 out of 10. But I can't give it an 8 out of 10 because there's no Carhartt branding on the can itself. That is a serious complaint on my behalf, and it loses points due to that. So this is getting a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Is this a cider that I would buy again? Yes. But not if there's Carhartt branding on it. Because if there ain't going to be any Carhartt branding on the can, I don't want Carhartt branding on the 6-pack. It's just my take. That's just my take. Might be controversial. That's just my take. But yeah, I think a very solid 7 out of 10. Definitely deserved. A 7 out of 10 is deserved. If they hadn't ever marketed any Carhartt branding on this cider, I would have given it an 8 out of 10. Easy 8 out of 10. I would have totally given it. But no. It's been knocked a rung down to a 7 out of 10. Just due to that marketing mishap. Had to do it. Had to do it. And if Blake's Hard Cider comments on this video and they say, well, you know, it was a production error, I'm sorry, I don't believe it. I'm sorry, I don't believe it. Just to prove it, I will check every can in this pack right now and make sure none of them are Carhartt branded. Not Carhartt branded. If there's a marketing mishap, there would be at least one can. Not Carhartt branded. Not Carhartt branded. And not Carhartt branded. None of these are Carhartt branded. None of them. Not a single one. Blake's Hard Cider. I respect what y'all are doing in regards to cider production, but I don't like clickbait. I don't like clickbait. Unless it's funny clickbait in regards to a YouTube video where I lose literally nothing by clicking on the video. I really don't mind clickbait when it comes to a YouTube sense. I just find it amusing in some circumstances. But when it comes to an actual product that I'm buying, it's a different story. It's a different story. So, 7 some complaints on my behalf. And I do not believe this was a production error. I do not believe it was a production error, no matter what people say. I think it was done on purpose. I know how stuff works. I know how it works. I know marketing a little bit. I'm not an expert, but I ain't a dummy either. I am quite buzzed, though. Definitely the cider is getting me good. The cider, that 8% I gotta admit is hitting. And, yeah, I mean, like, frankly put, an 8 out of 10 for the Blake's Hard Cider, ex-Carhartt, American Apple, Imperial Hard Cider, or the Clickbait Carhartt Hard Cider. To put it another way, an 8 out of 10 is definitely deserved, but it's not what it's getting. A 7 out of 10 is what it truly deserves because of the branding. So, yeah, 7 out of 10 for this cider right here. Is it one that I would buy again? If there was no Carhartt branding on the 6-pack, yes, absolutely. However, as it stands, no. As it stands, no. But in the future, whenever the Carhartt co-branding ends, I'd go for it again if I was wanting a cider like this. It wouldn't be my first choice for most scenarios, but for some specific scenarios, like if I was going to a party and it was like bring your own beer, but like your beer is everybody's to drink kind of thing, I definitely pick this up. I definitely pick this up because it's a 6-pack. I go ahead and take 2 for me, and then people can have the rest kind of thing. Like in a party scenario, I definitely buy this again, especially since it wasn't like crazy expensive compared to some other cider out there. But for personal consumption, just like at home, there are others that I would much rather drink before this. But yeah, a 7 out of 10. A 7 out of 10 is deserved for what I have with me today. Could have been an 8 out of 10, but they had to knock it down to a 7 out of 10. It is what it is. It is what it is. 7 out of 10 for this cider right here. Not quite done with my drink left. Not quite done with my drink. I'm buzzed. Not quite done with my drink yet. I have a sip or 2 more that I'll finish off in a minute. Overall, this has been an interesting experience. I'm going to describe this experience as having been interesting. It's been a good drinking experience, but overall hasn't been a good experience. I kind of just am leaving this experience feeling like I'm lied to, so... yeah. Yeah. Clickbait Carhartt Cider. That's how I'm going to call this stuff from now on. That's what this is going to be. Clickbait Carhartt Cider. Clickbait Carhartt Cider. That's what it is. I got clickbaited. The clickbait worked on me. There's no denying it. There's literally video proof that it worked. So, the clickbait worked. Maybe the whole thing was rage bait, actually. Hey, I did make an hour video, and like literally for the last 40 minutes, over the last 40 minutes, I've been talking about how I got clickbaited. So maybe it was rage bait the whole time to bring attention to what they want to bring attention to. And honestly, hey, it worked. They rage baited me. They rage baited me. They clickbaited me and they rage baited me. Man, I got. Hey, it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? A player's gotta play. I respect it, but at the same time, I don't appreciate it. But a player's got to play, you know what I'm saying? A player's got to play. And that's all I had to my second drink. And I think that's all I had to say for this video today. Have I had a solid experience today? It's been okay. It's been okay. Would have been better if the cans actually had Carhartt branding on them. But, I mean, the drinks themselves are good. The drinks themselves are good. Is this a product I would buy again? Not with the Carhartt branding, because I got lied to once and I ain't getting lied to again. And, is this a drink that I enjoyed drinking today? I did enjoy drinking it. I did enjoy drinking the drink. But, excuse me, I didn't enjoy the branding. And yeah, that's what's going on. That's what's going on. Overall, an okay experience overall. An okay experience. I'm not going to describe this as being a bad experience, but it was an okay experience overall. And an experience that, honestly, I feel like was educational. I feel like this was an educational experience, not going to lie. And this is an experience that, you know, was one to have. This was an experience to have, without a doubt. It was a, how would Calvin's dad from Calvin and Hobbes describe it? It was a character-building exercise. This was a character-building exercise. And that's a good way to describe it, and I think that's a good way to leave off this video. Shout out Calvin and Hobbes. Go read some if y'all haven't recently. It's a great comic. Love Calvin and Hobbes. Appreciate y'all watching today's video. Hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video where I drank Clickbait Carhartt-branded alcohol for the first time. If you guys enjoyed watching this video, of course, like, subscribe. Check out everything in the description down below. Until the next one, y'all, stay safe in peace and have a great one.